Have you been to Jesus for the cleansing power? Are you washed in the blood of the Lamb? Are you fully trusting in His grace this hour? Are you washed in the blood of the Lamb? Are you washed in the blood? In the blood, in the soul cleansing blood of the Lamb. Spotless are they white as snow. Are you washed in the blood of the Lamb? Are you walking daily by the Savior's side? Are you washed in the blood of the Lamb? Do you rest each moment?
Dear brethren and sisters, we again welcome you in this morning's devotion or presentation. We greet you all in the name of Jesus Christ. We are here before you once again to have a presentation where this presentation, as if it is a part 2, because last time we were together, for those who are fans of our presentations. And as we promised you last time that we started the prophecy of 4 beasts, last time we gave an introduction of Babylon, because we are going to be discussing 4 beasts of Daniel chapter 2 and chapter 7. But when we read in the book of Daniel chapter 2, we find there very gigantic, very big image that King Nebuchadnezzar by then dreamed about. After dreaming about that dream, he failed to get understanding out of it. He collected all sorcerers, magicians, soothsayers, and whomsoever that he believed that person could give an interpretation of what he dreamed about. So after it all those whom he collected and gathered, they failed to give him an understanding, and that dream he dreamed about, it bothered him so much. So in the due course of the time, King Nebuchadnezzar, by then, he had the news about the man of God who was taken as a figurative or as a refugee, if I can call it like that. They are taken as captives from land of Judah. So he's called Daniel, as many of you knows. So this man was called to the courts of the Daniel to go and give him the interpretation of what he dreamed about. So that is what briefly we talked about last time, but we are going to be proceeding, and we, as usual, we always tell you to like, comment, and subscribe to our YouTube channel so that you continue getting more and more series of our presentations. So today we are going to proceed from where we stopped last time. My name is Vian Aishakie. I'm an evangelist, and before we go in the details of our presentation, let's first humble ourselves for the word of prayer. Our dear loving Father in heaven, we do thank you for keeping us alive till this morning. Let your name be glorified. As usual, we come here to get more understanding from your word, but we can't do so unless you enlighten us with your Holy Spirit. So this is our humble prayer, so that you can give us Holy Spirit as we go through this series of studies. This is our humble prayer. In Jesus' name we've prayed. Amen. So dear viewers, as we've told you, we are going to proceed from where we stopped last time. We shall keep on bringing this series so that at the end of the presentation, at least we can be able to get understanding of this somehow like myth, confusing, and unfathomable presentation. Many people outside there, they do say that Daniel chapter, not only Daniel chapter 2, but the book of Daniel and the book of Revelation, these two books are a myth to many pastors. Let me call them pastors for those who try to teach Bible truth. So this is a truth that we are bringing to you all for those who are watching us. So we call upon you to come and watch us, and even tell a friend, and a friend tell a friend. So as we said, this is a prophecy of the four beasts, and last time for those who were with us, they watched the first presentation or the introduction of it. But we are going to see Babylon. Last time we saw Babel, and this Babel was introduction of the Babylon. So Babel, as we saw last time, for those who were with us, it was built by a man called Nimrod, and we read some verses in Genesis chapter 11. Then we read Genesis also chapter 10, where we saw the Tower of Babel, and where God came and confounded or confused their languages. So that confusion, it was termed as Babylon. So that one was past, or we saw the first Babylon. And the Babylon is of three kinds. One was that built by the Babel, rather by Nimrod, or as termed as Tower of Babel. That's the first one. The second one, and as of which we are going to deal with now, the Babylon that was built by a man called Nebuchadnezzar, who was the king of Babylon by then. So the last Babylon will be the spiritual Babylon. It doesn't have a physical where you can find it now. As we saw that it is a confusion, we shall come and see it. So, first of all, when we talk of the beast, some people maybe get confusion of it. But when we talk of the beast in the Bible sense, we mean the kingdom. And we shall come to first read the definition of it, so that we can get a meaning. After getting the meaning of the beast, then we continue. Dear viewers and listeners at the same time, we are starting from the chapter 7, book is Daniel, chapter 7, from verses 17. Our interest is to get the meaning of a beast, because when we talk of the beast, many people get confused. Many people get perplexed. They don't know what beast is all about, and if they try to get some definitions, they get a wrong definition of the beast. But here we are talking of the in Bible sense. Then here, first of all, it was from verse 1 when Daniel dreamed about a beast. It was from verse 1. The book still is is Daniel chapter 7. It reads, "In the first year of Belshazzar, king of the Babylon, Daniel had a dream and vision of his head while on his bed. Then he wrote down the dream, telling the main facts. Daniel spoke, saying, I saw in my vision by night, and behold, the four winds of heaven were entering up to the great sea, and the four great beasts came up from the sea, each different from the other. The first was like a lion, and had eagle's wing. I watched till its wings were plucked off, and it was lifted up from the earth, and made to stand on 2 feet like a man, and man's heart was given to it." These are the very verses that can give us a key opening or introduction of our discussion today. This is Daniel dreaming, and it was on Belshazzar's kingdom. In some minutes to come, we are going to be also discussing how these kings of the Babylon succeeded each other. But here Daniel is the one who is dreaming on Belshazzar's kingdom. It was no longer his grandfather who was called Nebuchadnezzar. But at this time, Daniel get this dream in the period of Belshazzar. So he said he saw the wind from the heaven just came to the earth, and the came 4 beasts out of that great sea. And these 4 beasts were diverse from each other. The first beast was like a lion, and it had 2 wings on its back. And when he continued looking to this beast, he saw these 2 wings were plucked off, and it stood up like a human being, and even it was given a heart like that of man. That is one. And it's where our presentation will be rotating all over. So now here we have just seen beast, but we have, if we continue like this, then it may be hard for us to know what beast is all about. They may think that some of maybe watchers or viewers who are seeing us now, they may think that maybe we are talking of this wild beast, maybe buffaloes, whatsoever in the forest, and the wild beast. No, at this time we are not talking about these wild animals. It is Bible figurative, but it is, let's see the meaning of it. When you read verse 17, there we have skipped these verses, but I believe and I hope that we shall come to understand all this what we are going to discuss here. When you read verse 17 of the very chapter, say those let me start from verse 15. I, Daniel, was grieved in my spirit within my body, and the vision of my head troubled me. I came near to one of those who stood by and asked him the truth of this. So he told me and made known to me the interpretation of these things. After Daniel dreaming this terrible dream, where he saw 4 beasts of the diverse pictures or of the diverse in nature, he did not get sleep. He was troubled the whole night. So as he was troubled, he prayed, and he asked the man who was standing nearby him. Of course, that was the angel. So this angel guided him or gave him the interpretation of what he dreamt about. So in verse 17, it reads, this great beast which are, this definition is here, or interpretation of this beast here, on verse 17. Those a great beast which are 4 kings. This great beast which are 4 kings. Anyway, he's telling him that this great beast that you have seen, they are 4 kingdoms. So now let's shift our understanding from a beast to a kingdom now. Now it is no longer a beast as we are seeing, or however much the writing remains, but the interpretation is given as a beast, rather a kingdom, instead of the beast. So when we are reading, or when we continue reading, and we happen to come and meet these terms like beast in the Bible, you just come to know that it signifies a kingdom, which arise out of the earth. Then when you read verse 23, thus he said, the 4th beast shall be a 4th kingdom on the earth, which shall be different from all other kingdoms, and shall devour the whole earth, trample it under, and break it in pieces. When you continue reading, you find that he dreamed about the 4 beasts. But the 4th one was so diverse, was so different, it was so terrible, it was so dreadful, it was so fearful. And the interpreter is telling Daniel that this is on verse 23. He says, the 4th beast shall be a 4th kingdom on earth, which shall be different from all other kingdoms. Now we are dealing with the kingdoms now. I hope that you are getting the interpretation here. So now we've been talking about the beast. Now they have become a kingdoms now. So now as we started last time, now we are going to continue with Babylon. This Babylon we are talking about, it was there. It was there, and now I think the current city, I think could be Baghdad, if not Iraq, where the Babylon was by that very time, if I'm not mistaken. And we see that these kingdoms now, they were there. But now in the first one, they are saying that it will be. So it was future tense by interpreter by that very time. So it will be, it means it could be still running even up to now, and it may continue running. So today we are going to discuss Nebuchadnezzar. But before we go to Nebuchadnezzar itself, we are first seeing what Babylon is all about. We have just seen that it was a kingdom. Then let's read also in the book of Daniel still. Book of Daniel, chapter is 4, from verse 28. Daniel chapter is 4 from verse 28. For those who like reading still, you'll find that in chapter 2, it's where Nebuchadnezzar dreamed about the other big image or a picture. And in chapter 3, he was put in, him and his friends, they were put in, they were told to worship that image. That story, you will read it. Then in chapter 4, Nebuchadnezzar himself, he lifted himself up. After lifting himself up, he found himself as if he's a great man, as if there is no any other god on this earth that can rule over him. So in chapter 4, he saw another dream that he failed to understand still, of a big tree. So also he came to get understanding out of it, that he put himself up and God can bring himself down. Now, on verse 28, we are reading that all this came upon King Nebuchadnezzar. You will read from very verse 1 for those who may get enough time. But because of the limited time we may be having in the studio here, we may not be able to read verse per verse. But we are picking some main verse contents so that we can be able to understand for the limited time that we are going to spend here. In verse 28, say, all this came upon King Nebuchadnezzar. At the end of the 12th month, he was walking about the royal palace of Babylon. Now you hear how this reading is saying. Out of 12 months, he was making he made a walking in his royal palace. 12 months, almost a year. You imagine how that palace was big. And verse 30, the king spoke, saying, is it not this great Babylon that I have built for a royal dwelling of my mighty powers, and for the honor of my majesty? While the word was still in the king's mouth, a voice fell from heaven, King Nebuchadnezzar, to you it is spoken, the kingdom has departed from you. The key points we wanted from these verses, it is on verse 30. They are telling us that when Nebuchadnezzar had started even praising himself, that he has made great, that he has built Babylon, that they said so that he can praise himself out of it, it was for sure magnificent. For those who like reading history, I think Nebuchadnezzar was among of the richest kings that have ever been there. And he made his journey, not even a journey, just like a walk. But it took 12 months just seeing what he has done. And he said, on verse 30, he said that the king spoke saying, is it this great Babylon that I have built? So we are seeing now Babylon here that Nebuchadnezzar built. This is Babylon we are talking about. This is a physical Babylon that Nebuchadnezzar built. But then after he had finished speaking this, then he had another voice coming, said, Nebuchadnezzar, your kingdom has been taken away from you. Remember this. This was not end of the Babylon kingdom, Nebuchadnezzar's kingdom, but he was given a punishment of 7 times, or what we can call 7 years, to go and stay with wild animals in the bush. So when he stayed there for 7 years, feeding on grass like animal, so when he humbled himself down, and God of heaven restored his kingdom back. You will be, for those who like reading, you will be reading those verses per verse. Before we come to the Daniel chapter 2, we have already seen that Babylon, this one we are seeing here, which was built by a king Nebuchadnezzar, as we have just seen on verse 30, we are seeing that it was built by Nebuchadnezzar, as we have just seen. But Nebuchadnezzar was, according to his lineage, he succeeded his father. His father was called Nabopolassar, and he ruled, and when he ruled from 625 then to 605, or to 605, if you can quote it like that. And you know, in BC, or before birth of the Christ, they were just reading downward. Now we are reading from 1 to 3. For them, they were reading from 3 to 1. That's why we are seeing these figures are going down. So we saw that around 612 BC, these were the wars of expansion. The wars of expansion, or the colonization, if I can call it like that. So for the kings who were there by that very time, they were fighting to annex. To annex or to take over other kingdoms. So we see here the father of Nebuchadnezzar, who was called Nabopolassar. Also, he was fighting. He sent troops, but unfortunately, he died on the war. So after dying on the war, his son, called Nebuchadnezzar, took over. So he started reigning in 605. So it's where we started counting the kingdom, or the reign, or the leadership of Nebuchadnezzar. We start counting it from the year 605. So, under 605, it went on down, because after Nebuchadnezzar, of course, as you know, it is common, he kept on being succeeded by other readers, but still in Babylon. I know the viewers, you are coming from different countries, and in different countries where you are coming from, of course, the presidents are succeeding other presidents. So, likewise to the even Babylon of that very time. So after Nebuchadnezzar, even other kings came in. So after Nabopolassar, his son Nebuchadnezzar came in, and after coming in, still he ruled for his time. After his time, then he was succeeded by evil Merodach, and after evil Merodach, he was succeeded also by Neglissa. After Neglissa, he was succeeded by Nabonidus, and the last king of the Babylon was called Belshazzar. Belshazzar, of whom you are going to read in chapter 5 of book of Daniel. So that's how the kingdom of Babylon was ruled. And in 538, the king of Babylon was taken over by Medo-Persia. Let's read this quotation in the book of Daniel. Chapter is 5. Chapter is 5. Here we see this young an experienced leader called Belshazzar, who was a grandson of Nebuchadnezzar. He reigned. So after he was enthroned, he started ruling as usual, but his behaviors were not all that pleasing. He started his pompous characters and lavishingly and extravagance to the extent where he decided to go and bring the cups of the silver that his father Nebuchadnezzar captured from Jerusalem. And for that sin he did, it was sacrilegious. It was beyond of understanding for those people who were there by then. So I'm trying to narrate, but for those who will be having time, you will just go read more and more in this verse, rather chapter 5. It's where he saw a hand that was, when they were having a feast, he saw a hand that was writing on the wall. And that writing was so confusing, was so hard for them to understand. It's when they started bringing the other magicians to come and explain what was going on. They still failed as usual, so they had to call Daniel. So when Daniel came, let's see what he told them. And we are reading, for the interest of time, we may not read from very verse 1, but we are reading from verse 24. Chapter is 5, but for those who will have time, you read from verse 1. It's when you will get more of this. Then, now this is Daniel interpreting. Verse 24, then the fingers of the hand were sent from him, and his writing was written. Verse 25, and this is inscription that was written, Mene, Mene, Tekel Ophazin. This was writing. This interpretation of each word, Mene, God has numbered your kingdom and finished it. Tekel, you have been weighed in the balances and found wanting. Peres, your kingdom has been divided and given to the Medes and Persia. Verse 13, that very night Belshazzar, king of the Chaldean, you call it Babylon, was slain, and Darius the Medes received the kingdom being about 62 years old. This was the end of Babylon's kingdom, or tyrannyship, or leadership, if we can call it like that. But when you continue reading, and as I told you that for those who are having a Bible, when you get from verse 1 of the chapter 5, it's when you can get more understanding of what we are talking about. This younger man, Belshazzar, was grandson of Nebuchadnezzar. It was like maybe a family leadership, if I can call it like that. So when it came to him, even Nebuchadnezzar was no longer there. He had already died. So when this man took over, he started his extravagance to the extent of using the cups of the silver that they got from Jerusalem. And God came to check on his leadership. So that's what they saw on the whole writing. The writing was many, many taken of Azin, that you have been weighed in balance and you found wanting. Your kingdom has been taken to Medes and Perez. And in 539, his kingdom was taken by Medes and Persia and Med. And Persian was ruled by a man called Cyrus, and Medes was ruled by a man called Darius, who took over when he was having 62 years old. He was an old man. If he was the president of today, you may think that maybe the man cannot stay for good. But that's how the kingdom of Nebuchadnezzar was swept away. So when we read the chapter is 2, when we read chapter 2, we find there also the other dream. Chapter is 2. We find there a dream that King Nebuchadnezzar dreamed about, and he failed to get understanding of it. And then if we read from the chapter 1, but let's read from chapter is 2. Let's read from verse 2. Only that the time may not be on our side, because the verses are many here. There are many here, but I wanted just to go to only interpretation of it, because we may not have enough time to. Okay, let's read from verses 23, rather verse 31. You, O king, were watching, and behold a great image. This image, whose splendor was excellent, stood before you, and its form was wearisome. This image head was of fine gold, its chest and arms of the silver, and its belly and thighs of bronze, its legs of iron, and its feet partly of iron and partly of clay. You watched while as a stone was cut out without hand, which struck the image of its feet of iron and clay, and broken them in pieces. Then the iron, the clay, the bronze, the silver, and the gold were crushed together and became like a chaff from the summer threshing floors. The wind carried them away, so that no trace of them was found. And the stone that struck the image became a great mountain and filled the whole earth. We shall be coming in bit by bit. And for those who are watching us, you are seeing already this image of that Nebuchadnezzar dreamed about. And this image, we are starting from head. And now, we haven't come to the interpretation of this so far, but we are just seeing what Daniel had just come to interpret what Nebuchadnezzar dreamed about. So from verses 31, then Daniel has started giving interpretation to King Nebuchadnezzar. Then when we read verse 36, you see, this is a dream, so he's going to give him the proper interpretation. As for those who are watching, you are seeing that here on our screen here, we are having this great image, and from the head we say that it is just head of gold, as you are seeing it. So this head of gold, so far that after it there will come another kingdom, and this kingdom that will come after the head of gold, it will be of silver. That it is a chest and arm of silver. So this chest and arm of the silver, it will be another kingdom, and its belly and thighs of the bronze. Then that for our intention as per now, we are still looking on the head, because we are going to start by one by one, so that we can be able to understand all this. So here on the screen, for those who are watching, we are seeing a great image, and this great image, it was of Nebuchadnezzar's dream, and as you are seeing, for those who will like reading, you start from verse 1. It's when you get more or better interpretation. But when you finish the very chapter, you have understood what it was meaning, and you continue reading even in chapter 7. Also we shall come, even I think, to where we shall conclude from. So now when you read verse 36, so this is a dream. Now we will tell the interpretation of it before the king. So Daniel is coming to give the interpretation of what he has already mentioned it down. Verse 37, you, O king, are king of kings. This is Nebuchadnezzar being referred to. For the God of heaven has given you a kingdom, power, strength, and glory. And wherever the children of the men dwell, all the beasts of the field and the birds of the heaven, he has given them unto your hand, and has made you ruler of them all. You are this head of gold. This is what I wanted. On verse 38, so here you see that the Nebuchadnezzar now is the head of gold. As we are telling you, dear viewers, that let's just get interpretation of this picture. Let's not even stop from just seeing it that it was dreadful, but it has even interpretation in the Bible. Now we are seeing that this great image that Nebuchadnezzar dreamed about, it had parts. There are 4 parts. There was a head, there was a chest, there was a belly, and there were legs. There are 4. Now we've started from head itself, and we are seeing that the other head of gold is Nebuchadnezzar. On verse 38, let me repeat the verse. And wherever the children of the men dwell, all the beasts of the field and the birds of the heaven, he has given them unto your hand, and has made you ruler of them all. You are this head of gold. So Nebuchadnezzar now is the head of gold. As we've seen that the kingdom of Nebuchadnezzar, or the kingdom of Babylon, under the Nebuchadnezzar, was started from 605, or what you can call 605. It went on down, as I told you, that by BC, or before Christ, they were reading from top down. So if you read 9, you go to 8, 7, like that. So that's why its kingdom, or the kingdom of Nebuchadnezzar, or the Babylon, ended in 538, when his grandson, called Belshazzar, his kingdom was taken by Medes and Persia, as we read in chapter 5 of the same book. So when we come to chapter 7, we find the related scenario. Chapter is 7. We see the related scenario there. Chapter 7, it says, chapter 7, I'm reading from the verse 3, but we will start from verse 1. And 4 great beasts came up from the sea, each different from the other. And 4 beasts, and 4 great beasts came. So it means we are having also beasts. The other time we saw the great image, but in chapter 7 we are seeing 4 great beasts. So these great beasts, let's just hear them, or let's see what were these great beasts. We see verse 4. The first was like a lion and had eagle's wing. I watched till its wings were plucked off, and it was lifted up from the earth and made to stand on 2 feet like a man, and man's heart was given to it. Verses 5. And suddenly another beast, a second like a bear, it was raised up on one side, and had 3 ribs in its mouth between its teeth. And they said thus to it, Arise, devour much flesh. After this I looked, and there was another like a leopard, which had on its back 4 wings of the bird. The beast also had 4 heads, and dominion was given to it. This is the third one. Then the fourth one. After this I saw in the night vision, and behold, a fourth beast, dreadful and terrible, exceedingly strong, and had a huge iron teeth. It was devouring, breaking in pieces, and trampling the residue with its feet. It was different from all other beasts that were before it, and it had 10 horns. This is the first and the last one. Said that for it was dreadful. And this beast, it was diverse, or it was different from all other beasts. But remember, we read the explanation on verse 17 of the same chapter, that those great beasts which are 4 kings, so they are kings now, as we have been saying. So now, in this book, or in this chapter 2, rather chapter 7, we are seeing 4 beasts now. Now, after seeing these 4 beasts now, we see that the first beast was like a lion. And it had wings like that of eagle. But when he continued seeing upon this beast, those wings were plucked off, and it stood up like a man, and it was given like man's heart. Still, this was a time when Nebuchadnezzar also was humbled himself down. That was being plucked off. Plucking off of this, as you well know, that if eagle doesn't have wings, it cannot fly. Likewise, when Nebuchadnezzar, or when this lion was, its wings was plucked off, it stood like a human being. What does it mean? Nebuchadnezzar was given another chance to think about, to have a heart like that of a human being. He considered a human being. He was a king, but he humbled himself down. That's what it means. So, as we saw in chapter 4, that even his grandson, after putting himself up, there was a checker. There was a hand that was writing on the wall that checked his kingdom, and it was brought down. So, we are coming to the conclusion, but after reading this verse, as we said, that this Babylon was built by Nebuchadnezzar, as we saw. So the time came when even it was not a safe place for everyone to be there. When we read the book of Jeremiah, chapter is 51, Jeremiah chapter is 51, verses 6 and 7, as we are coming to the conclusion of our presentation this morning. We are reading Jeremiah chapter is 51, verse 6, 7, and 8. Verse 6, flee from the midst of the Babylon, and everyone saves his life. Do not be cut off in her iniquity, for this is the time of the Lord's vengeance. He shall recompense her. Babylon was a golden cup in the Lord's hand, that made all the earth drunk. The nation drank her wine, therefore the nations are deranged. Babylon has suddenly fallen and been destroyed. Wail for her, take balm for her pain, perhaps she may be healed. We would have healed Babylon, but she is not healed. Forsake her, and let us go, everyone to his own country. For her judgment reaches to heaven, and is lifted up to the sky. The God has received our righteousness. Come and let us declare Zion, the work of the Lord is the work of the Lord our God. Here, where we are concluding from, we have seen that we decided to heal, or we decided to save the Babylon, but it was out of time. So when we shall continue seeing in our last part of the Babylon, the spiritual one, they say that now there will be a voice calling for those who are still in Babylon to come out. There is no balm. There is no painkiller. There is no medicine for the Babylon. What the medicine is to come out of it, as we are seeing it. But maybe let's not discuss the third Babylon now. But the spiritual Babylon, it is where I say that there is no medicine for the Babylon. Because even here they say that you flee from amidst of the Babylon. Let everyone save his life. So we are being called upon to free. (538), it was taken over by Medes and Persia, and even it started ruling. And we've seen that in chapter 2, we see that the head of gold was Nebuchadnezzar himself. And when we reach in chapter 7, we see that now the kingdom of Babylon was signifying as a lion. So this is where we have just come to the conclusion of our discussion today. We wish a prosperous, a wonderful preparation for each and everyone who is watching us, that at least when Jesus happens to come back, he finds us when we are ready to receive him. As chance comes in, we shall keep on discussing this, and even not only these prophets, but even other topics. For those who have been following us, we have been discussing about health reform, we have been discussing about the family issues, we've been discussing even different chapters that we believed that it can transform someone's life. So we wish you blessings from God, and keep on touch with us, as we have been saying that you like us, you comment and subscribe to our YouTube channel, so that you can keep getting other notification when the presentation is going on or is being uploaded. Thank you for giving us your time to be with us, and we ask God from heaven to continue blessing you. This has been our wish to you all. So let's have a closing prayer. Our Heavenly Father, we come before you once again, giving you the token of appreciation for keeping us alive up to this moment. Let your name be glorified. We've discussed about beasts, and we've just come to understand that a beast is a kingdom. So you help us to understand how they succeeded each other and how are they applicable to our spiritual life. Not only us who are here, but even those who are watching us, those who devote their time to watch us. Bless each and every one. Continue being with us forever, for now and forever. This has been our humble prayer in Jesus' name. Amen.
Have you been to Jesus for the cleansing power? Are you washed in the blood of the Lamb? Are you fully trusting in his grace this hour? Are you washed in the blood of the Lamb? Are you washed in the blood? In the blood, in the soul cleansing blood of the Lamb. Are your garments spotless? Are they white as snow? Are you washed in the blood of the Lamb? Are you walking daily by the Savior's side? Are you washed in the blood